Welcome to NuttieBuddie Sports. Previewing the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, man. So speaking of the Cleveland dumpster fire or the Cleveland Browns, last year they too finished 8-9. They finished third in the division according to these standings. So let's start with Travis on this one. What is your biggest question for the Cleveland Browns this season?
Man, where to start? My thing is with the whole Deshaun Watson thing, is it basically going to be a rebuild year? Because he's gone for almost 3/4 of the season, So do you really think you want to try and be competitive this year, or do you just kind of want to tank more or less so that you can get a decent draft pick and then kind of go all in next year?
Yeah, no, that's a great question because I think Jacoby Brissett is going to be their quarterback for the first 11 games. And yeah, I guess we'll see how that works out. Ryan, what about you? What's your biggest question for the Browns?
Kind of similar to Travis. Do they go out, they try to get a Garoppolo, because they're paying Watson nothing this year, so they probably got some money to bring in a quarterback. Does he give you enough wins over Brissett in the 11 games that it makes it worth it? They don't really have any draft capital after all they gave up for Watson. So do you have to trade a player to get Garoppolo, or maybe a mid-round would do it, but the Niners aren't just going to give them away. So it's kind of like, I think they roll with Jacoby and see if they can make it like 5-6. And then when Watson comes back, he's going to be rusty. So it could be a lost season by then. I think maybe this year is just a lost season for them. I don't know.
Yeah, because Watson won't, it'll be like what? Almost 2 years since he's played football, right? Like competitive football.
Well, he's been able to play in the preseason, right? This so far. Not that matters, but at least he gets some actual suiting up time and out there in the atmosphere.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess we just don't know what kind of player he's going to be when he came back. And so my big question is like, Browns, what were you thinking? Like, I don't know, like going into the season, I think that's going to keep coming up. It's not just that they traded for Deshaun Watson, but then they gave him that ridiculous contract afterwards, which he did not like deserve considering everything that's going on in his personal life that everybody knows about. So I don't know, like, what were you thinking? I just feel like this season is almost a lost cause for the Browns because even like their skill position players aren't as good as they were like last year. I just feel like there's going to, and then all the drama around the team, I just think they're going to have a bad season. So I'm with you guys. I think that they'll probably, are they going to tank? I think so. I just think maybe they'll just like, hey, let's get Watson ready for next year. I think that should be their mentality, but I don't know. It's crazy.
They had to know that they were kind of tanking this year, though, right? But they don't have a first-round pick next year, so you tank for the top 3 pick in the second round of next year, So it's kind of like it really is a lost year because even by tanking, it doesn't get your draft capital, for the following year. So I don't know. Maybe they see how Cooper looks this year and they hope Watson and him kind of click.
Yeah. That's what I think it's going to be, is basically they're going to be like, hey, let's just get the last 5 games. We're just going to get our team ready for next year. Let's get Watson like regular season reps. Let's get him some chemistry, let him get some playing time in the offense. But I don't trust Jacoby. I watched him play as a Dolphin. He wasn't better than Tua. I'm not high on Tua. So I mean,
he says he's a starter in the NFL.
But he's been saying that for like the last 5 years, and he still hasn't been a starter in the NFL. So I don't know what to tell him. So anyway, I guess we'll see. But yeah, it's what a start to a season for the Browns. It's crazy too, because I don't know if you guys listen to other podcasts, but there's like other Brown fans that are like no longer root for the Browns. They like after the Deshaun trade, they stop rooting for the Browns, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up later, but since
Okay.
you've talked about it, well,
You
we can do it later or now.
Let's do it later. Let's do it later.
All
Let's
right,
go.
all
Okay,
right,
let's
all
do it later. Let's do it later. Okay, let's talk about our favorite move for the Cleveland Browns. We'll get a little bit positive here for them. Let's see. Ryan, what is your favorite move that the Browns made this offseason?
Go ahead, Tryon.
Hey, we did have a business called that at one point.
Right, we did.
Yeah, I liked Amari Cooper bringing him in. I do have to say, when it comes to Cooper, I said this during the last season. I said he is the most boring number one receiver a team could have. There's nothing that excites me about Amari Cooper. He could have one game where he has one catch for like 12 yards, and then he can go off in a game and then be quiet again for two. He's just kind of up and down. But I do like him bringing him in because the rest of their receivers are not the Ravens quality receivers. Guys that you're like, who is that? Who is that? Bringing back Clowney, I liked. They got him for cheap. He had a good season for him last year. I was surprised he didn't get like a 2-year deal from somebody because he looked solid. And I'm stealing Travis's thunder. They got a 4th-round kicker from LSU. So that's another one.
Travis, did he take your favorite move that the Browns made?
It wasn't the LSU one, actually. It was about Clowney, because I read that apparently Clowney had other offers for more money, and he still chose to stay with Cleveland. So why he decided to do that, I don't know. But
Was that before the whole Deshaun Watson trade or after? Do you
I would
know?
assume before, but who knows? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm with you, Ryan. I have the Amari Cooper trade because I think they only gave up a 5th-round pick to get him, so it was cheap. And when you consider all these other wide receivers that were traded this offseason, giving up like multiple first and second round picks and stuff like that, that's pretty cheap for a number one wide receiver. I agree with you. He's probably like on the weak end of the high, number one wide receiver scale. They probably on the weaker end, but it's still a number one wide receiver. It's only a 5th-round pick. And if you could, get another couple skilled position players in there next offseason, or, I guess we'll see. He could be a good complementary receiver, like a good number 2 receiver as well. I think he'd be a better number 2 than a number 1, but it's still a 5th-round pick. Why not? Okay. Yes, sir. Okay, let's go to our least favorite offseason move. Travis, what was your least favorite offseason move for the Browns?
I'll go with the obvious, Deshaun Watson and what they gave up for him. So I believe it's 5 total picks, 3 first rounds, and then a 3rd and a 4th, if I was reading that right. So it seems like quite a lot for a guy that, well, even when they acquired him, they still didn't even know what was going to happen. Maybe they did know like some of this stuff, but either way, his suspension went from, I think, 6 games to 11 now. So taking that big of a risk on someone who you could miss almost a full year, it doesn't seem worth it. I mean, what if he gets injured on like the 2nd snap of when he actually comes back,
Could happen.
Yeah, but I don't know. Now it's like, to me, the Browns are the new Steelers, because I could never root for Roethlisberger. And even if Watson is completely innocent of everything he's done, you still will look at him differently. It's hard to even root for him at all. So I don't know. I don't think it's a good move for them. So I don't know what the Browns are doing. You said it good. It's a dumpster fire over there.
Yeah, kind of crazy. It's so weird where they were 2 years ago in the playoffs competing against, I think, the Chiefs. They were playing the Chiefs and they almost won that game.
Ryan, stop taking my fire. I'm talking about this later.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. My bad. Ryan, how about the other Ryan? You got a least favorite offseason move?
Well, first of all, as someone that's favorite player growing up was Ray Lewis, I can't judge people for cheering for Deshaun Watson if they want to. I had a Ray Lewis jersey myself. But secondly, I think building off of Travis's point, didn't they kind of botch it with Baker, you think, too? Because they traded for Watson in March, and then they traded Baker in July for, a late round pick. Wouldn't it have been smarter in the draft? They could at least got we talked about before the podcast, Romeo Dubs looks good on the pack. They could at least got something this year for Baker to help the team, like a 4th round pick, even a receiver, a edge rusher, something for him. And now they just get a late round pick for next year. And then they got to play Baker week 1, which is going to be totally awesome. Everyone's going to watch that game or want to see how Baker does against them. But I think they botched that and waited way too long to trade Mayfield when they knew they had got Watson already. It just seemed weird how they handled it. But it's the Browns, so you expect them to fumble how to run a team and an organization correctly. It's always going to be clunky however they do things because their owner is one of the least liked owners in the NFL. And by giving Watson all that guaranteed money, definitely stuck it to the rest of the league, especially the Ravens, by guaranteeing Watson's whole contract, knowing that every other quarterback that was going to come up was going to want something like what Watson got. So several points there, but I think they botched how they traded Baker too. They could have got maybe a little more for him than they did.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally agree with both your points. Not only that, they are paying $10 million of Baker Mayfield's contract this year as well. So they not only did not get the value they could have got for him, but they end up paying like half his cap cost as well. So everything about the Browns offseason with the quarterback position, yeah, it's awful. It's bad. So the Browns are going to Brown, I guess. They don't know what to do with success. That's what I think. Okay. What will make the season for the Browns a success or a failure? Ryan, you want to start us out here?
I think it's a success if they're around 500. I think if they purely stick to running the ball, Chubb could get like 1,600 yards or something. I think they could conceivably, and with guys on defense, they got a good defense, they could conceivably win enough games to be competitive and win 8 or 9 games. That's like the best case scenario for a successful season, I think.
Okay. How about you, Travis?
I wrote successful with a question mark because I feel like they already failed this season. So
Travis, I put down already a failure. So
yeah,
on the same page there. Go ahead.
So the whole thing with Watson doesn't make sense. It's just get through this season and worry about next is basically what I'm thinking. Also, why are they not trading Hunt? I know he asked for a trade, but why do they want to keep him? Does anybody know?
Probably. Well, I think two reasons is the first is they're going to rely heavily on their run game, so they probably want that dual back, insurance for Chubb. I think that's the reason why, both the insurance for Chubb and they're going to probably still give him like 12 to 15 carries a game. He's going to be out there because they're going to just want to run, because I don't think they're going to trust Jacoby Brissett to throw the football a lot. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably why they didn't want to trade him.
I thought that Ernest Johnson guy was solid. At least I remember one specific run from him last year where he was like spinning off of guys. I forgot who they were playing against, but so I was just curious if he was gonna, he seems like a solid second option, but he's their third string.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Ryan?
Hunt's probably the best pass catcher too, maybe. Just if your receivers aren't great outside of Cooper, maybe they think Hunt's going to get a ton of screens and drop off, especially from the Brissett, who doesn't really push the ball down the field to begin with. So maybe they think that. I was going to say, can't you just see a graphic coming up on the screen like this year, like week 10, when Brissett throws 30 plus times, Browns 0-5. When he throws less than 30, 4-1 or something like that. Just they're going to have to run the ball a lot, I think, and then play action, obviously.
I just want to know if Brissett's gonna wear the jersey that he doesn't tuck the sleeves in at all and it hangs down like super long.
Probably.
Yes, he does that.
Okay, I'm with Travis though. I put already a failure. I just don't know what they could do. I don't want to step on Travis's toes, so I'm gonna leave it at that. We'll see if all the points that I wanted to make get made by Travis. But yeah, already a failure in my mind. So okay, any other additional questions that we want to ask about the Browns?
Yes, well, it's not. I guess it is a question, but how would you feel if you're a Browns fan, Ryan, which you already talked about, but you went from such a high of highs from beating this, right? They beat the Steelers in the playoffs, and then they almost beat the Chiefs. And then the following year, you almost expected them to be right back there again because Baker looked fine. He looked pretty competent, and you thought maybe that would be the year that Landry and Odell were really going to mesh with Baker, and they were just going to go up and up. And then last year was just a complete failure again. And then now you have this whole scene. So it's like, how would you feel if you're a Browns fan with everything that happened?
Probably how you felt since 1999. It's just so painful. I guess like Ryan would know is liking the Lions too. Like if you ever think you're gaining some ground, then when you're poorly ran, like it's so short lived. When you don't have stable ownership and management and coaching, and you change coaches every couple of years, it's just like it's hard to maintain success.
Yeah,
So when you see the Packers do it or other franchises winning games every year, you're kind of like, wow, like that's what it's supposed to be ran like. There's certain things they could do better, but with the Browns or other franchises like that, it's just kind of what they come to expect, I think, over time.
Yeah, I agree. I just like even with the Lions, I can't remember anything being this sort of catastrophic, big word there. Where you kind of think you have this quarterback that you can build around. And I kind of like I'm wishy-washy with Baker because I know he had something torn in his left side of his shoulder, which affected his throwing. I think like you cannot have something in your body torn and not affect your play on the field. I'm sorry, it just won't happen.
Right. That physical of a sport,
Right. Right. So, and he dealt with that all last year. So was it just, maybe he took a step back because of his injury more so than his actual like regression on the field? I'm leaning more probably towards the injury being more of the problem, that he played as poorly as he did. But even with that, it's like to trade for Deshaun Watson, like you said, Travis, we don't know all the details, so we don't, whatever. But with the reputation he has, giving him that contract, botching the Baker situation so badly, it's like I said, it's funny because there's some longtime hardcore Browns fans that they're looking for a new team to root for because they don't want to root for the Browns anymore after this. So yeah, it's probably the way they felt, like Ryan said, for many, many years. But I think this is like a new low for the Browns organization after this offseason.
Maybe there'll be a few more Dolphins fans out there now.
Yeah, you can hop on that train. We only tamper. Every team does, but we get caught tampering. That's what we get caught doing, tampering. So like, people are like, oh my God, I can't believe this team tampered. It's like, guys, every team tampers. It's only the ones that get caught that we make fun of, mainly because they get caught. That's why they get in trouble, because they get caught. But anyway, so yeah,
I can guarantee you they're not going to be Ravens or Bengals fans if they're jumping off the Browns bandwagon. So
yeah. Okay, good question then. Is there a team that you would suggest Brown fans to go and root for?
Chargers. Go to the Chargers.
I heard that one. Yeah. How about you, Ryan? You gotta, like, if a Brown fan is listening to our podcast and like, man, I really wish Ryan, the smarter Ryan, would tell me a team to root for, what team would you tell them?
doesn't it have to be kind of like a tough, hard-nosed kind of Midwest like Packers or even like Eagles, maybe, like nothing flashy. It can't be like the Chargers are kind of too flashy for a Browns fan, don't you think?
Yeah, but they need to mix it up. They've been so straightforwardly boring for how many years? So
Speaking of a team though that
Maybe-
shoots itself in the foot though, like the
Maybe
Chargers.
they'll like Carolina because Baker went there. Who knows? Maybe there's some
Yeah.
guys out there.
The Lions, that's the right answer. You still get the same organizational feel, like the ups and downs and stuff, but it's not as bad as the Browns. That's the answer. And right now everybody's like, they're the darling dark horse of the media right now. The Lions are, because they're on Hard Knocks and everything. So
well, yeah, Jamal Williams is leading the charge there.
passionate speeches.
Right.
Dan, he has a weird name, like
The Campbell.
yeah, Dan Campbell, but he has like a nickname because he likes Metallica, like that's one of his favorite bands. So they like gave him a weird nickname that combined his like Dan and Metallica. I don't remember what it is, but anyway, Dan Talica or something like that. Something like that. So anyway, so there you go. Okay, any other additional questions for the Browns? Okay, let's do over under. I found 8.5 wins, 8.5, so 8.5 wins. Travis, you got the over and under on that.
That is an under. I'm going like 6 and 11.
That's funny. That's exactly what I have as well. Ryan?
I agree under. Just real quick, middle of the season, they played Chargers, Patriots, Bengals, Ravens, Dolphins, Buffalo, and Tampa Bay. So in a 7-week stretch, they play like all the top teams in the league practically. I'm even throwing Miami in there. So
Thank you.
it could easily go 1-6 or 2-5 in that stretch I'm seeing. So they might start off okay. They could beat Carolina, Jets, Atlanta, but that middle of the season before Watson comes back is really going to kill them.
Yeah. They'll be 1-6 in that stretch. They'll get blown out by every team except the Dolphins. They'll somehow beat them by a field goal.
They'll blow them away.
Yeah.
They'll lose to that LSU kicker on a field goal.
That's it. Okay, let's move on, guys, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thanks so much for watching this clip of NuttieBuddie Sports. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you'd like to listen to the rest of the podcast, click on one of the links down below. And if you want to give us your thoughts on any team in any division, let us know in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will talk to you guys soon.